Okay, let's light our candles. So I'm going to open with a prayer, and then we're going to go into a short meditation just to ground us, ground our energies together. And then we will welcome Miss Katy. Okay. All right. We go. Winds of the South, Sachamama, great serpent, join our circle here tonight. Teach us how to shed our past, our stories, and our prejudices. Teach us how to walk softly on the mother, the beautiful way. Help us to understand we never left the garden. Be with us, sweet one, and share your wisdom. Winds of the West, Aturango, great jaguar, come and influence us today. Teach us to release the fear of living and dying. Show us how to become a friend of death, the death of our identities, roles, and ego. Teach us to track our lives like the great cats and see into dark spaces, to not be afraid of our shadow and whisper words of reassurance and encouragement. Winds of the North, great hummingbird, come join us today. Take us under your wings and teach us about the sweet nectar of life. Show us how to be with the ancient ones, the ancestors, grandfathers, and grandmothers. Warm your hands by the fire in our hearts here today. We honor all who have come before us and all who will come after us. Winds of the East, great eagle, sister condor, come to us from the place of the rising sun. Encourage us to fly with you and show us the mountaintops of our lives. Inspire us, communicate, and dare to dream. Help us to see the big picture and extend beyond this dimension. Be with us as we dream a new world into being. Pachamama, great mother, Mamita, thank you for being here with us today. We honor the spirit and rhythm of all beings on this planet, those who walk, crawl, fly, and swim. We honor the great spirit that exists in all of creation. We honor your mountains and valleys, rivers and oceans. We vow to honor the life cycle of all things and to be of service to you. Father Sky, Great Spirit, Grandmother Moon, Grandfather Sun, Wankatanka, and Star Nations, you who are called by 1,000 names and are the great mystery of life. Thank you for the expansive space and creative wisdom of the cosmos. We gather here to sing the song of life with this breath and this great and every breath past, present, and future. Aho.
Wow.
I invite you girls all to let your eyes gently close and focus on your breath, the ease of your breath. The inhale through your nose, filling up your belly, the gentle exhale, releasing all of the breath. And as you breathe in, breathing in the ease of this morning, and exhaling anything that you have remaining from the weekend, any energy that you don't want to bring into this circle, any worries, any thoughts that may be holding you captive. With the next in-breath, breathing in through your nose, exhale it with a sigh, letting it all go. And on your next breath, allowing yourself to ground. So seeing whatever feels good for you, whether that's roots growing into the ground, a cord dropping from your root, through the floor, down into the earth, through the layers of this beautiful earth, through the rocks, all the way down into the core, finding your perfect spot and hooking, feeling that connection, feeling that pull, that groundedness, that security. And as you keep your attention on your breath, feeling the stability that you have, grounding your energy, noticing your energy running through your body, flowing, your life force, and allowing anything in your body, any energy in your body that doesn't feel clean, beautiful, vibrant, allowing it to go with your next exhale. And giving yourself gratitude for being here this morning, giving yourself this gift of this circle with Katy, opening your mind, opening your heart. You have nowhere else to be except for here, right now, with these other beautiful women. One more nice inhale. And beautiful exhale. Coming back to this present moment, back to the circle. Whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. All right. Welcome. Okay, so we have with us this morning Miss Katy. Katy, thank you so much for being here with us.
I'm so excited.
Yay! And so Katy, so I met Katy, was it last year? We both spoke at a women's conference, and I was just drawn to her and you'll see as she starts teaching, just her energy, what she teaches, how she teaches it, and how it resonated. So Katy works specifically with women and money, with their businesses, but also it starts with their money, their personal finances, right? Because your personal finances, she was just saying before we started the call, is very rare that I find somebody that has an amazing grasp on their personal finances, but then their business is a mess, right? Your money is your money. So she's a leading money mentor and a wealth coach. She teaches and she speaks with ambitious energy. So I'm just going to read this and not pretend like I have it memorized. I've sent this to most of you, but just want to give her a proper introduction. She teaches and speaks. She works with ambitious women who are ready to steward their money in their businesses and life by creating a sustainable strategy, simplifying their processes, and builds limitless confidence in their money habits and behaviors. With over a decade of experience in teaching and coaching, combined with her own debt-free entrepreneurial journey and simplified life, Katy teaches how to slow down, map out your own joyful wealth building journey, and create a new life that has way less stress around money. I'm in. So welcome, Katy. Again, thank you so much for being here with us. And the floor is yours, my love.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I thought, and Danielle and I were just talking about this a little bit beforehand, I would share just a little bit about why I do what I do and how I got here briefly. And then I do have slides for today because, as you heard, background in teaching, I know some people really like to see what I'm saying and not just sit and listen. So I'll pull those up. But quickly, yeah, my name is Katy. I live in New Hampshire, so I'm up north, but it is supposed to be almost 90 next week, which is insane. So I am told my husband, we have one AC unit that goes in a window, which again, very north. I was like, we need to get that in before we, can't, before it's too late and the house has been overtaken by the heat and we can't control it anymore. So anyway, May is a little early for that, but so I'm up in New Hampshire. I've got two kiddos, they're 9 and 7, and a puppy, and they are all off the property. Last time I did a weekend event, Danielle and Aaron probably remember this. My daughter comes in, we got 2 feet of snow that day, and my daughter comes in looking for her mittens or something. And I'm in the middle of giving my talk, which is being recorded for hundreds of women. And I'm like, why are you in the house right now? You're supposed to be outside. So I told my husband, I was like, you're not allowed on the property, off the property, all of you. So I have the house to myself, which is why I'm upstairs in my living room. The light is just beautiful in the morning. So anyway, I was a high school Latin teacher for almost 13 years. I was a coach. I was a competitive bodybuilder. I have a very strange resume. But the reason I do money coaching now for women is because in my 20s, like when I was just getting started with teaching, I had like 5 maxed out credit cards. I had student loans. I had some medical debt. And I had a private school teacher's salary that was very, very low. Um, and I basically just had a moment when I was probably like 24, 25, where things, they had to change if I wanted my life to move forward the way I thought it was going to. And essentially deciding to make a significant change with my money and doing what it took to make that change to pay off nearly $40,000 in debt in a couple of years, not just teaching, mind you. I was hustling a lot of like nannying and any side job I could get my hands on, right? But that decision and that change was a catalyst for my health improving, my relationships improving, work improving. Like my whole life opened up in front of me. And so this was just, it imprinted me. It became something so important to me. And in that time, and this was almost 20 years ago, I'm in my 40s now, but you know, when I was in my 20s, I thought, I want to be able to help other women, right? Like girls coming out of college who have no idea what they're doing, like I didn't. And so that seed was planted. And then fast forward about a decade, I have 2 babies at home. And I was like, you know, that money thing, like I really, like that still feels really important to me. It's still something I really want to do. And I was ready to leave my teaching career just because it was so demanding with the kids, my kids at home. It was just too much. And so I decided to make that change. And, you know, all my colleagues are like, what do you know about money? Like, you're going to be a money coach that like, you don't, you're a Latin teacher. So this really kind of crazy identity shift, but to me, it made perfect sense. I'm like, of course, like, this is what I'm supposed to do. I've been wanting to do this for a long time. I had this really rich experience in my own life. And I'd been teaching and coaching in other capacities for over a decade already. So anyway, that's why I'm here. And I have been an entrepreneur now for, I'm in my 7th year. And so working with other women who are self-employed, professional, entrepreneurial, it just feels really good and exciting to me. I love to, like Danielle said in the intro, just simplify and reduce stress. Like that to me is the key here. And I know a lot of the work that you all do in this circle is very much like, how do we work together with our body, right? In Creatrix, like, how do we partner? How do we become friends? Like, how do we have this relationship? And I feel the same way about money. Like, I truly believe that your money wants to have a relationship with you and that it thrives in a healthy relationship with some healthy boundaries with you. And so how do we unlock that? How do we find that? How do we nurture that? Okay. So that's kind of the philosophy I have. Today's actually going to be quite practical. I'm going to take you through just sort of like a 6-step. If you are starting fresh and looking at your money and thinking about your money is kind of new to you, then these are kind of like the steps I encourage you to take and think about. And I'm going to walk through those here. So I'm going to share my screen and see if we can make this work out. So I would say, okay, here we go. If you have questions, go ahead and pop them in the chat. I don't know how easily I can see the chat when I'm sharing my screen. Oh, I guess I can there. Okay. But Danielle, if like questions come up and you just want to blurt them out, like we don't have to wait till the end or anything. Just anyone can, like if you have a clarifying question or you're not sure what I'm talking about and you want to ask, go ahead and ask. And of course, at the end, we can do questions too. Okay. How are we doing so far? Ready to go?
Good.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So we're going to be looking at sort of a guide for the next 3 months. If you're thinking about, okay, I'm doing this, like money is sort of like it's May, we're going into the summer. I want to feel like I kind of know what I'm doing. Like, here's your plan. Okay. Plain and simple. All right. So this is sort of the 6th step. plans, so to speak. So I'm going to take you through each of the 6, but I just want to overview them real quick here. So the first one is just knowing what your numbers are and having a spending plan for June, July, August. So here we are, mid-May. It's like the perfect time to start thinking about June. And if you really want to stretch and, get ahead of the game, ahead like of the other 99%, start thinking about July and August as well. Okay, step 2 here is we're going to implement some consistent money dates, right? So that like relationship I was referencing. Step 3, adopting a CEO mindset around money in business and at home. So we'll go into that. Step 4, prioritize a savings plan first and foremost, right? Before what a lot of people think that they should be going and doing, and this was me, like 100%. I was so stressed out about debt. And I don't know who here, like if maybe like it's not a concern at all for you. So whatever sort of the money stuff is maybe, or whatever it feels like I should be taking care of this, or this hasn't been done, or this is kind of what's keeping me up at night. Generally having a savings plan that is prioritized and feels good is going to help offset whatever else is going on and create like a really clean, healthy foundation to work on whatever else there is. Okay, so from the savings, number 5, learning how to become the kind of person who doesn't use debt. Again, unwanted, right? Unwanted debt. If you're like, no, I love using my credit card, I get the points, I pay it off every month. Amazing. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like, this is stressful, this is unwanted, and I find myself in a cycle. Okay. And then the last piece, step 6, would be starting your debt payoff strategy. All right. So again, we're just talking a few months here, but here's how I would walk through sort of those steps if I was working with you as a client. Like, this is kind of what we do and in this order. All right. So let's start with knowing your numbers. So, oh, whoops. Okay. So I did the presentation last month, so I changed some of the dates and I realized I missed some. So start thinking about July and April, amazing. Start thinking about August and May. That's where we are. So first off, we always want to be thinking about the month before the month happens. So many people will say, oh yeah, like I look at my money, I'm really good at tracking my money. I know exactly what I did in April, right? I'm speaking present day, right? It's May, it's mid-May. It's like, yep, I just did my accounting. I know what I spent in April. Okay, so that's fantastic. And we can't like make any changes to that, right? It's what's already happened. And so often, like what I see is the more we can shift our energy and focus to what's coming and prime our brains for what we want to do with our money in the next 30 days, the better chance we have of doing what we say we want to do. Okay. And so again, like, and I have a background as a competitive bodybuilder and a personal trainer. So I kind of know the body space too. So much of it comes down to like having a plan, having the time and space for it, knowing how we're going to execute on something because it is, we've put thought to it. We've put it on paper. It's in a calendar. It is something that we have prepared for, right? It's the same thing with our money. When we take the time to say, okay, in the next 30 days, this is what's happening in my life. This is what's on my calendar. And therefore, these are some resources that I'm going to want to have available for that. The more likely we are to have what we need when we need it versus, okay, I know there's a wedding at the end of the month. I know I'm going to have to travel, but I'm just going to like trust that everything works out and put blinders on and not think about, should I be setting some money aside for it? Right. So having just this time and space to say, what is happening in the month coming and priming our brain to spend in a way that makes sense for that month instead of just waiting for the month to end and say, okay, let's see how we did, right? And going through and accounting. So again, we want to start thinking about July, right, in April, think about August and May. In the coming months, what's going on in your life? What's in your calendar? What appointments do you have? Does the dog need to go in for his annual vaccines? Do we have birthdays? Is there, summer is like so many celebrations, right? So what happens in the summer that kind of sneaks up on you and you're like, oh my gosh, every summer I like forget about this. I forget to, like this always like is a lot more money than I think it's going to be. Like, what is that? What's coming up for you? Okay. And then as far as like actually knowing the numbers go, let's get it out of your head and actually out on paper. So what does spending money in the summer look like? What is the plan? Okay. So all of the things that are maybe circulating right now, things that are coming, things that, whether it's the annual insurance that you need to pay, or we know we're doing this long weekend in July for 4th of July, like get it all in one place and just start to get a sense of what are we spending this summer? What is maybe unique about June, July, and August that we haven't been doing in February, March, April? Okay. So from there, like this initial kind of brain dump can take a little bit more time because you might actually want to go in and say, okay, but what do I actually spend, right, in a regular month? So now is a great time to, yes, like do some accounting. Oh my God, that kiss was so sweet. He like came out of nowhere because of the background. And all of a sudden it was like, woo, so sweet. When it comes to getting started here, it can take a little bit more time, especially if you haven't done anything with your money before. So you might want to sit down, like grab yourself, whatever, like I've got the lemon water and the coffee today. I like to offset one with the other. But like have like a drink that like is enjoyable for you, light your candle, like have some time set aside for this, right? Get everyone off the property like I have, like just make it your space. And let's say like, okay, so what is sort of a typical month? Like, what do we spend on our rent or mortgage? What do I spend on food? A lot of people are like, I have no idea. It's different every month. It's usually actually not that different, believe it or not. So once I go through that work with my clients, they're like, oh, I actually spend almost exactly the same amount on groceries and eating out every single month. It just feels variable because we have choice around it, right? But like, what are those numbers? So getting that, and this is kind of back in the last one, know your numbers, but just like that upfront work of what do we spend in a regular month? What are we going to add on to that in June, July, and August? Like just what's coming is a little bit of upfront legwork. But then you want this consistent money date time where we're actually building some connection and we're getting comfortable with the idea of looking at our money, our plan, making changes, reflecting, deciding whether or not we want to change something or just think about like what is happening, right? Just like have the time and space for it. So when you think about a relationship, when you think about dating, I've been with my husband for over 17 years now. So I'm a little out of the dating game, but like I imagine, right, it's still like we want to be nurtured. We want, right, instead of like, okay, let's hang out for 3 hours once a month, we would much rather like spend time together every day, right? Even if it's just 15, 20, 30 minutes right after work, and we're able to like catch up and grab a quick, I don't know, a cup of coffee or whatever. Like you want to nurture a relationship consistently. And I'm not saying to look at your money every single day, but a lot of times people say, oh yeah, I do my quarterly planning and it takes me 3 hours, but then I don't look at my money or do anything for 3 months, right? I would so much rather it's like, okay, I spend 15 minutes twice a week and it's not overwhelming and I've got my finger on the pulse. Like we have this consistency and it gets easier every single time because we're getting comfortable with each other. I know what to look for. Like we keep the conversation ongoing. It's not as if every single time we reconnect, it's like, oh my gosh, I don't remember anything. Like, tell me your whole story. I gotta look everything up. I forgot all my logins and passwords, right? We want this to be like a quick connect, getting to know each other like on a deeper and deeper level with this consistency. Okay, so what does a money date actually look like? That would be, like I said, grab your favorite drink, and maybe you're even during your workday. It's like just take 15 or 20 minutes, and whatever platform you're using to create a spending plan, or if you have it written out, like there's some really amazing spending plan or like budget journals that you can actually buy if you're very analog and like to write things out. Some people actually like spreadsheets. So like whatever you use, whether it's an app or a journal or a spreadsheet, but have your plan for the month ahead. This just gives you an opportunity to say, okay, in the last 3 days, right? Let's say we check in twice a week for 15 minutes. In the last 3 days, here's what's happened with my money. Here's what's come in. Here's what's gone out. Let's just kind of look at the plan that we've made and just see kind of how that lines up, right? So maybe we were planning to go away for the weekend and spend this much money, and we just got back from the weekend. And so we're checking in like, okay, the plan was to spend $1,000 on a weekend away. We only spent 800. Amazing. Where do we want to put that extra $200? Right? We can put it somewhere else because we kind of overestimated, which was great. So just having that time every few days to just check in what's happening, reflect on it, make any adjustments. I can't go into like crazy detail with each of these because we'd be here all day, but like the idea here is we want consistency over like a huge sit down planning session 1, 2, 3, 4 times a year. Okay, I'm just going to pop this open. Would you count elective spending in those numbers? Define elective spending, but yes is probably the answer. Any spending would be included.
Okay,
Tell me
yeah,
what you
and it
mean.
was specifically too when you were like, rent, rent, food, eating out, all of that is usually roughly the same. So I found
Yeah,
like with me shopping,
yeah,
right? It's like some
yeah,
months I'm like, I need all the clothes and I
yeah.
spend a lot more than other months.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good question. So there's a few things I do there. One we'll talk about when I get to the savings strategy. The other is I love, and this kind of falls under like the dating relationship piece. I love having fun money. So whether you're single or in a partnership, right? Fun money is where everyone in the household contributing, right? So again, like it depends on the relationship, but generally speaking, like if you're married, by sort of rule of thumb, and you run it through your own filter, of course, but rule of thumb is like my husband and I get the same amount of fun money every single month, even though we don't make the same amount of money, right? So like all the money goes in the pot and we get the same amount for fun money, and that's ours to do whatever we want with, as long as it's right, legal, moral, ethical. And we've been doing that, we're celebrating 13 years marriage next month. So every single month we both get, and it's separate accounts. So like we have our own separate fund money accounts, and we can build it up. We can like spend it the second it drops in there, like doesn't matter. And so that is one thing that we do. And then so any of my single clients, it's like same thing. Like you still want to have a separate account for the fun stuff, because it's a space where you can like save it up, or you can just like, it doesn't matter, and you're not tracking it. Like this isn't going to be tracked. This is just, it goes in there, and then what you do with it is what you do with it. And then you get to decide, okay, what is it for? Is it for when I buy clothes that I want but don't need, right? Like, so in our house, I'm like, I need winter boots. I don't use fun money for that. I want a third pair of leather, like boots, not winter boots, right? I want those. I don't need those. So like that would be a fun money purchase, whereas the winter boots is like, of course, like our joint account household, like covers boots, right? The necessities. And then things like travel, like you might have a separate savings account for travel and not use fund money for it. So it depends, again, it depends on a lot of things, your income, your lifestyle, like who else is in your household. And that's where we kind of get very granular based on your unique experience. But in general, you want to have, so here we go. You're like, I think I'm going to need some shop. I think I need to shop. Like my kids need summer clothes, or I just like, I feel it coming. Like there's going to be a shopping spree because I'm going to this place or whatever. that's the kind of thing where when you're thinking about June, July, August is like, yeah, I'm probably going to spend several $100s on clothes. So let's just like say that out loud and not put blinders on. And at the end of the summer, like see how we did, right? It's so much more empowering to say like, this is what I want to do. And let's see like how the numbers work. And when you know, like, yeah, I've got this $500 set aside to go shopping. How much more fun is shopping when you're like, I know I've got the money to just go do it and enjoy it versus like just hoping the whole time this works out or that it doesn't bring your credit card too high. You know, like it's just, it feels better. It's more empowering. And that's what I want. I don't want you to stop shopping. Like, please don't stop drinking your lattes. Don't stop shopping. But like, let's just like be open and like in this relationship with our money where we know what's happening and we're not just kind of constantly feeling that like slight like weight on our shoulders of, is this all going to kind of work out? We just want to lift that pressure.
Mhm. Totally makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, obviously, every single month is not the same. We don't spend the exact same amount on like I forget the word that Danielle even used there, but like the discretionary spending, elective spending, that was it. And so that's why it's so important to think about the month ahead. Like, what is on the calendar? What do I feel like I want to do? Where do I want to have a little extra money for something? And then the next month will be different, right? All the graduations happen in May, and you're probably maybe setting money aside for gifts or travel. Well, that's not happening in June, but something else is happening in June. So like, we just want to be ahead of the game and thinking about these things. And again, just like priming our brains for, this is how I want to be spending this month, instead of waiting for the end of the month and kind of just having that heavy feeling of, okay, how did it go? How did I do? All right. All right. So from there, and again, you don't have to master these in order, but like, this is just kind of the order I want to be thinking about it. From there, let's consider like what it means to have a CEO mindset around your money in your business and your home. Okay. So when it comes to money mindset, like my idea of a healthy money mindset is one where you just feel as good about money as possible and you're continuing to improve the way you feel about money. Okay. That's one piece of it. Another piece of it is having a mindset, having a belief system, a philosophy where no matter what happens financially, I know I trust myself to take care of it, to navigate it in integrity. Right? So it's kind of twofold. We want to feel as good as possible about money. We want to continue to stretch ourselves to feel better, to feel good, to have a relationship, to to trust ourselves in our habits, right, with money, but also to trust that we can navigate something, because a lot of what happens with money is external, right? Someone gets hurt, we go to the hospital, there's a bill. Like, you didn't plan that. How are you supposed to plan that? But if you live in a house, if you have a car, if you have kids, if you have pets, like any of that stuff, like there's unexpected stuff all the time. And you might spend a few months like doing a really great job creating a spending plan and putting some money in savings and paying off some debt. And then like whammo, 8 things happen in 1 month where you're like, why does this happen to me? Right? The mindset is, it's not happening to you. Let's trust that we can navigate it. And right, so we want to continually be building this mindset where things might happen and they happen to us all, and we can navigate it. We can figure out a plan to get through it if needed. We can, trust ourselves to use some savings to get through it and then build that back up. Like a lot of it just boils down to, do I have a mindset of self-trust? Do I have a mindset of, I got this? And do I have a mindset of, money and I are in this together? Like, I have a relationship with my money. My money wants a relationship with me. Like, we're kind of working this together. It's a long-term game. And like just strengthening those pieces, like that mindset. Okay. There's a lot of money mindset coaches out there. There's a lot of money mindset chatter out there. But what it boils down to is, I want to feel as good as possible, and I want to trust myself to navigate. plain and simple. Okay. And I want to be growing every day, right? I want to wake up every morning with a different brain than I had yesterday. Every single morning, I want to wake up stretched and learning something new and trusting deeper. Like I want my brain to continue to evolve. And that's what I think mindset work does. Not just money mindset, but mindset work in general, which I know you all do a lot of in this space. So like, I want a developed brain, a fresh, new pile of ideas going into my head every single day, filtering what works, what doesn't. But like that to me is the mindset. Okay, I don't think I touched on anything on this slide yet. I completely went off the rails. So here we go. Oh, I said I got to adopt a CEO mindset and then I went off the rails. Okay. So there's the mindset piece. Now, a CEO mindset is, right, let's like step out of the emotional, what does Katy need today? What does Danielle need today? What does Danielle need today? And instead say, what does the business need today? What does the household need today? Right? And certainly there's room for what does Katy need today, but it can't be what does Katy need today and therefore what is she going to do in the business? Like, let's take care of both. So having a CEO mindset is saying, okay, there's a lot of stuff coming up in June. There's a lot of, kid stuff, pet stuff, bill stuff. We got to get the yard cleaned up. Like in New Hampshire, like the seasons, it's like, oh my gosh, the plow guy's finally gone, but now we got to mow the lawn. So, having that CEO mindset of like, okay, objectively, what needs to happen? And therefore, what do we want to be priming our brain for spending wise? Is there a trade-off this month? Maybe there's not as much available to do this thing over here, but we know things are getting taken care of. And that feels really good. Like to the mindset, it feels really good that we're taking care of what needs to be taken care of. And because we're looking at July and August, we know there's room to like do these fun things there. And that feels good too. Okay. As far as just some like to-dos that I had to throw in here, making sure that your personal and business accounts are separate, right? The mindset of like, I've got my household and I've got my business, and then the actual logistics of they're separate is super important. So I'd love to have a chat if that hasn't happened yet with anyone moving forward. Clarity around how the business supports the household. So maybe you're making some money in your business and it's very like spur of the moment or random how you pay yourself or how your household benefits from the business. So just getting a little bit more clear around that. And maybe the clarity is it can be random because our household isn't relying on this income stream. So it can be random and I'm okay with that. Or it's, I would like some consistency and clarity because it feels haphazard and I don't like that feeling. So whatever that is for you, but just getting clear again on like how does money from the business flow to the household? And then having a clear plan, right? So stepping out of planning in the household, but looking in the business. Hey, is June, July, August, like, are those typically big months for your business? Probably not. Most industries, the summer is pretty quiet, but like maybe for some reason you are like really busy in the summers. And so what's the clear plan for any overflow? If there's more revenue coming in the business in a season, whatever season it is, like what's our plan for that? Because there's certainly going to be seasons or periods in your business when there's less coming in. And how good would it feel? How regulating would it be to know, oh yeah, I've got like this bit of savings here from that overflow season, and I'm going to be able to get through these months fine. Like I'll be able to pay the bills and like whatever new revenue comes in that's unexpected will just be like extra. Okay. So just starting to, again, plan ahead and think about what does the business need? What is the season I'm going into in the business? And is there any overflow that we can plan for there? Okay. All right, so now we actually kind of get into like the fun stuff for me. See, this is the stuff that I like to talk about and people are like, you're weird, but it's so important to me. Okay, so before you go nuts, paying off debt really fast, I want you to prioritize a savings plan first and foremost. And the reason for that is because generally we get caught in an unwanted debt cycle because we don't have a confident mindset around savings and we don't have a plan that actually works around savings. Okay, so if I'm just using random examples here, but let's say like you've got some, credit card debt that feels emotionally like a lot and you really just like you're putting extra on all of them and you really just want to get rid of them. I would encourage you for just a short season, maybe again, like these 3 months upcoming, to just pause on that, pay the minimums. There's some other strategic things you can do there to avoid all the interest and everything, but pay the minimums and focus on getting some savings established first. So the two things that I really prioritize when it comes to savings is having both an emergency fund and a sinking fund. And I think the sinking fund is like that secret. Like if there is a secret about how to feel better about money, it's having a sinking fund. Your sinking fund is essentially a savings account for your spending plan, for your budget, if you want to call it that. So in June, July, and August, maybe it's kind of just like an easy few months for you. Maybe you tend to like stay at home, pretty relaxed. Like it's just like a really nice season of just hanging out and there's not a lot going on. But then maybe November, December, January, you actually do like, there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of maybe travel, maybe for the holidays, you go places, maybe you're a big spender at Christmas time. Like that feels like a really big season for you. Maybe that's when all the animal stuff gets taken care of. Maybe you're buying a bunch of back to school stuff, like whatever. Let's just say the summer's kind of easy. And then like the end of the year is like a lot, like it feels like a lot every year. So you would want to have a sinking fund set up so that in the summer and other months of the year, you're able to put some money aside for that bigger spend season at the end of the year. And this could be for your like putting new tires on your car. This could be for, so-and-so said we're going to need to replace this appliance in the next year. And you're like, nope, blinders. Like, I don't even want to think about it. No. Like mindset people, right? Like we're going to stretch into, I'm going to take care of business and it's going to feel so dang good when I do and the money's there for it. Like that feels good. And so having, again, like a sinking fund is basically a savings account that you're going to spend, just not till October, November, December. We're in a season right now, my husband and I, where like every annual thing that we pay is happening right now. And I tell you, like, it's kind of hard every year to like dish out that much cash, but we've been saving it throughout the year intentionally for this. And I'm like, I don't want to spend $10,000 on all that crap. Like it's freaking insurance and propane and like car stuff. Like I don't want to, like, I still feel that way. So like, it's okay to be like, I don't want to pay these people, but we do because it feels really good to have everything functioning and to know that the money was there and it's not like on a credit card somewhere, which is how I used to do things. And that was super stressful. So, like you don't have to be obsessed with the idea of writing a big check to every conglomerate out there. That's not what I'm asking, but let's stretch a little bit to at least like have this relationship with our money where we're like, okay, this is a plan. It feels good to have things taken care of. And by the way, we have a choice around who we pay. Like we do have a choice around those things. So like, for example, again, and I'm going off track, I'm sorry, but it's relevant. For example, like we spend a couple grand every single year to pre-buy fuel to heat our home. And that's like nothing compared to what a lot of people spend up here because we also have a wood stove. So we burn firewood too. So some people would be like 6-7 grand for a summer to pay for this fuel. And my husband was like, that's it. That's the last check I want to write, right? This was a couple years ago. So we decided to put solar on our home with the goal of eventually having like solar heat. And it's going to take us a couple more years, but we're like, we don't want to send money to the propane company anymore. Like we're done. Like we're just kind of tired of it, tired of dealing with them. Their customer service isn't great. Like we would much rather use the sun's energy to heat our house. How amazing is that? Like, so those are choices we get to make. And because we've taken the time to plan ahead and to establish a savings routine and to feel confident with our mindset around money and that we can handle this, and maybe it won't go perfectly. It hasn't so far, but like it's working, right? So even if it takes longer than we anticipate, like we've got this strong mindset that we can navigate this and we can make this happen. And so we have a choice around that, and that feels good. So when our sinking fund goes, whatever like big annual costs come up in April, May, and June, and we're just setting that aside throughout the year. And so a little bit of what Danielle was asking about elective spending, like could go into that category. If you know, like, okay, a few times a year, I do this travel or I go to this conference or I'm in this space where I like to spend extra, like plan for it. Give yourself that gift of having it, right? When you get there. Okay. And then emergency fund versus sinking fund. I'm actually, what I'll do, Danielle, I'm going to share like a whole bunch of free resources with you that you can just email out to your list. So I've got 9 ways to break up with your credit cards. I have a whole workbook about emergency funds versus sinking funds. Like a lot of these are actually in my my paid mastermind, but because I don't have time to go through them and I feel bad saying like, there's this, but I'm not going to explain it to you. I'm going to just share those. And then if anyone's interested in one thing or another, they can just grab that. But the last thing I'll say is it's okay to spend your savings. I think this is something that trips up a lot of people too. You know, they'll say like, every time I save a little bit of money, then I spend it. Every time I get some savings in place, I spend it. And actually like, that's okay. That's good. Like it's good to be able to save something and then be able to spend it. Like that's sort of the whole point of having savings, is then when you need it, it's there. The question is, what are you spending it on? And so just slowly but surely, if you like every time you save it, you're like shopping spree that I wasn't planning, but the money's there and I feel really uncomfortable having money and saving. So let's go spend it really quickly. Like that's something different. And that's a mindset work that we can do. And just establishing a healthier forward focused plan. Because a lot of times, again, it's like, if we don't have a plan for what's happening and then there's just money sitting there, we can get really uncomfortable and like just kind of self-sabotage. That it's just how we are. And I'll honestly, like, there's some months where I don't get to like the money planning piece. Like I'm busy and I just don't get to it. And I'll notice myself almost like being a little bit more, I don't know what the right word is here, but like, I kind of just like, whatever, I'm just going to spend I just don't even think about it. I kind of like feel myself going back to a time where it was like, whatever, like, it's just money. I mean, it is just money, but, I notice that I'm not like, I don't care what the ramifications are. Right. But then as soon as I'm like, okay, Katie, let's rein it in. Let's sit down. Let's do the plan. Like almost like a little mini detox that feels really good. It's like, where are we actually? And it's like, okay, not as bad as I thought. Doesn't take much to sort of see like where we are, make some like tweaks to the plan. Maybe take a week off from so much takeout or coffee or whatever, even though that's like not a, big deal. I know a lot of people say like, I eat out too much and that's why I'm broke. That's usually not the case. Sometimes it is, usually not. But whatever the case, like I notice that myself when I'm not keeping my finger on the pulse and I go a couple of weeks or a few weeks, and I know that probably sounds like nothing, but when I'm used to doing it every few days, right? If I go a few weeks and I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't like looked at the plan at all. It feels really good to sit down and just take that time, have an extended money date. But I will notice like if my mindset's a little off, if I need to do a little mindset work, if business is feeling just like a little much, a little stressful, if there's a lot going on, if my freaking period, like there's a good 10 days a month where I'm like, I don't want to touch this stuff, right? It's good to know that stuff about, right? You guys are very in touch with your bodies in this work. Like, it's really good to know that. Like, when do you spend more money? When do you not want to look at your money? Like, get to know that about yourself and schedule your dates around that. You don't have to like force yourself, right, to look at money when you like really don't want to. Okay. Again, went off track, but it's okay to spend your savings. Just know that it's there to support you, especially like I was saying, you know, right now we're spending a lot of our savings and it feels like a lot and we do it every year. But in the end, like, I'm so glad we do it that way. Okay. I'm going to try to wrap this up here. So last two pieces here are more around unwanted debt. So if this is you, definitely tune in here. Becoming the kind of person who doesn't use debt. Again, unwanted, you don't like having it around. I'm not talking about, you know, a mortgage that you're happy to pay. I'm not talking about paying off your credit card every month and like loving the perks of that. This is unwanted. Okay. And I will share the 9 ways to break up with your credit cards as well. So really, really, really focus on the spending plan in the next 90 days. So how much money is coming in to your household and what is that money doing? Like, where is it going? What are you going to spend it on? What's the plan for that money? And prioritize putting some money in savings, right? And not needing to use debt. So what does that look like? We're not going to add more debt to the debt pile by using what we have to pay for what we need. And if that means I'm not going to put a lot of extra towards credit cards, maybe it means I'm not going to save a whole lot, but I'm going to navigate the month without adding to the pile. Amazing. Right? So if you think about it, like what I always tell my clients, I would rather you have like $30,000 of debt sitting over here and you're able to go through the next 3 months, the next year without adding to that pile, right? I would prefer that, like, you know how to get through the months without adding more debt. And you just have this pile over here that we need to take care of. I prefer that than every single month you're overspending and you're like constantly trying to get caught up. And there's always more going on. Maybe it's only $5,000 in debt, but you're always getting a little bit more added onto the pile. And then maybe you kind of bring it down and then it's up again and then down again. And it's like this constant, you can't figure out how to just use what you have or bring your income to a level where our expenses are happy, right? So you can handle paying off a pile of debt if you can get through the months without using new debt. And that's what I see. And that's sort of the goal, is getting to a place where it's like, okay, like that can just sit over there and I'm going to operate each month without needing to use my credit cards anymore, not having to take out loans, not having to put things on payments. Like that feels really good. And then we'll figure out the 30,000 and just paying that off. Okay. So all that to say, we want to prioritize a spending plan. We want to prioritize savings. We want to make sure that what we're going to be spending fits in what we have available to us from our income and our savings. And then simplify your savings and your surroundings. It's so much easier to have a plan for your money, to not use new debt when you are simplifying everything that you're spending. So again, like, make some trade-offs here. What are a few things that we can not do over the summer that maybe we love to do the rest of the year? In your business, like, are you paying double, triple for things, right? I had a client who was like, I'm paying for Google storage and Dropbox and like all these different, you know, like you don't even know what you don't know. So going through, are there things that are connected to your credit cards that you don't even know you're paying because they just go through the card statement and then you just pay the credit card bill? Like, so take the time to simplify. Don't cut everything out. Like, I'm not inviting you to just cut everything down to the wire, but take out the stuff that you don't use. Simplify, stuff that just isn't that important to you. If you would rather go spend $500 shopping, and you can find $500 of like auto pay stuff that you don't use, or, things that are just like, oh yeah, well, we always do that, but it doesn't feel like a priority. Like, what are some trade-offs? What can we just cut back and simplify? I think of it as like just money clutter. Like, how can you just declutter the way you spend? But the priorities stay. And then I already said this, but just removing any auto charges from credit cards. Okay, I don't want to go too much longer here. So let me get to this last slide here. I feel like I was a bit ambitious. This was a lot. Okay, so then starting your debt payoff strategy. So once it feels like, okay, I kind of know what's happening in the next few months. I'm working on this mindset. I'm building this relationship with my money. I trust that having a savings plan is smart and I'm going to commit to it. And I really am committed to simplifying things and focusing on that savings and spending plan so that I'm not adding to the debt pile. Okay, now I'm ready to actually start paying this thing off. So you want to basically figure out like, what is the pace that I can make progress on paying off my debt if everything is kind of going to plan. Now, the beauty of a sustainable debt payoff plan is having some like margin, having some money in your plan that doesn't have to leave like your bank account. So you've got a little bit that can go to savings. You've got maybe a chunk that you identify as this is for miscellaneous stuff. Maybe you've got a chunk for fun money. Maybe you've got some where you're like, well, I'll just say this is going to be entertainment. Like you've got some money to play with and it doesn't feel like everything is going to the necessities. And so when you have that sort of pace of, I can make this contribution towards my debt and it feels like there's some wiggle room here, that's like the healthy place we want to be. So that's where maybe we go through our spending and declutter a little bit if it feels like I don't have that. Maybe we look at, what are we charging in our business? Like how do we turn the dials to get to a place where what needs to be taken care of is getting taken care of. There's a little bit of margin. I'm having a little bit of fun. Like my whole life isn't going to paying off debt because that's not fun and it's not sustainable. Trust me. So how do I like tweak all these dials so I'm in a place where, yeah, I can have this paid off in a period of time that feels good and my life is going to be like enjoyable. This plan is going to be sustainable on the way. Okay. Once you're in that even like keeled place, if you have a month where a lot of stuff happens, okay, so that's where our mindset says, great, we can handle this. Maybe this month and next month, we don't put as much towards our debt payoff strategy. Maybe we spend a little bit of our savings. We got this. Now we put a little bit more into our savings. Now we maybe turn the dial back up on the debt payoff, but like we didn't add to the debt. We didn't wipe out our savings. We didn't take away all of our fun money. Like it's not a crisis. It's just turning the dials a little bit. And then we get to move forward without it feeling like we've fallen off the wagon, literally. So then when there's an overflow space, right? When there's more money coming in or when we're not spending as much and it feels like we've got more like extra, then you can kind of turn the dial and put extra towards your debt if you choose to. And then that savings and overflow, like that is a space to avoid. It's basically insurance from future debt. So again, we want to be in this place where we know we're never going to have to rely on a loan, or I shouldn't say a loan, but like credit cards, unwanted debt, unwanted payments to get through kind of regular life, right? That's the idea. Sure, you might take a loan out on a car or a mortgage or like whatever you feel comfortable with. We all have different levels of risk that we're willing to take with money. But when it comes to like the unwanted stuff, usually what I see, it's a lot of high interest credit cards that feels unwanted to people. This is the way I would tackle it. And I know there's a lot of questions around, well, should I use a debt snowball or the avalanche method? Like what's the best approach to paying off your debt? I generally recommend snowball, but it's kind of a case-by-case basis where we'll go through and see what can we adjust just by talking to the lenders first. Like, can we change the interest rates? Can we put it on any kind of a 0% plan? Like all that kind of stuff first, and then we list them in order of how to pay them off. But in general, I would say the snowball is what works best for people, which is where you start with the thing that you owe the least on and pay that off in full, and then take everything you're paying on that and put it towards the next thing on the list, and really focusing on one debt item at a time versus I'm going to put $50 extra on this and $30 extra on this. And right, like we emotionally are like, I got to like get it all going down, but that doesn't tend to work as well. So focusing on one single like credit card, literally one credit card at a time, and just paying everything you can on that one and then moving down the line. So, but again, I love to put that strategy together. I'm actually, I haven't rolled this out yet, but a new like free, it's a free call that I'm putting together is basically a debt payoff strategy call. I need a better name for it, but essentially it's a free call where you kind of share like what your payoff plan is right now that you're working on, and I'll basically audit it and hop on a quick call and just share what I would change. So if you're in that space, I'll be rolling those out pretty soon. Okay, Melanie asks, oh, wait, I missed that one, Danielle. Okay, do you think having everything that you owe out would be better if it's all due on one day? Okay, it depends. I have some people who this is their reality and they can't stand it. Like, because everything goes out and they just feel like they have no money for 29 days. Other people do that and they love it because then they're like, I know everything's covered and I don't have to worry about like not having, so it totally depends on you. I don't think it's better necessarily. I think it's like, if you're in a place where you are, and this happens to clients, it's like they always find that they're struggling to pay this one thing on time. I would look at just moving that one thing, like move one thing at a time and not like overhaul everything to one date necessarily. I would just sort of like try to pinpoint which week feels like the heaviest every month, or which one like payment are we always scrambling to get on time, and consider moving that one or changing your strategy about having the money available for it. So those are sort of the two pieces I would say to that. Okay, Melanie, is there a suggestion of how much should be saved, give or take, in an emergency fund before starting to pay off debt? That's a really great question. I did not address that at all. So thank you for asking that. No, I mean, there's people who have sort of their rules and their numbers for this. I would say get to a place where you feel like you are able to be consistent putting some money in savings. And that's a little ambiguous, I know, but again, it's different for everyone. So if you want a number, I would say let's get at least like $1,000 to $2,000 in savings. And that can be emergency fund / sinking fund. If you have nothing in savings right now and you're just getting started with this, anything in savings can go towards anything, right? It's once you've been doing this for some time, maybe you get a tax return and all of a sudden you have like $4,000 to save. It's like, okay, then maybe we start to like divvy it up a little bit and give it more of a name and a label and different accounts. But if you're just getting started, I would just get to that place where it's like, I trust I can consistently put some money in savings and either use it for something I need it for or leave it there. And then I'm going to start adding to paying off debt. A fully funded emergency fund, I mean, people will say is anywhere from 3 months of expenses to like a year of your salary, right? Like people have all kinds of a range for that. And that's the kind of thing where you just need to figure out what's best for you. If there's multiple streams of income in your household, it doesn't need to be quite so big, right? Because you're probably not going to lose all those streams at the same time. But if there's just one stream of income in your household, you might want a bigger emergency fund because if that one stream goes, that's it, right? So go back to March 2020, right? Like a lot of people knew exactly how much money they wish they had in their emergency fund in March 2020 or April. I guess it was more like April, May when things kind of hit the fan. But right, like if that happened again and income was gone, and a lot of us didn't lose our income at that time, I realized too. But I think that can be a helpful gauge. Okay, even that those terms are new to me. Oh, amazing. Okay, yeah. So, and I'm happy again, like if anyone's interested in that strategy call, I can go through that a bit more too. Okay, I think that is all I have for, yes, there's me. Okay, so Danielle, is this okay if I do this here and now? Okay. So this is just the best places to connect with me. I've honestly had a little bit of social burnout lately. So I have been not in my Facebook group or on Instagram as much lately, but I am really excited about doing more of this, like the debt work, doing like debt payoff work. And I'm going to be doing a call or like A to Z guide to paying off credit cards and just unwanted debt in the Net Worth Women in the Facebook group. That's happening on June 5th. So I'm going to be kind of like reigniting that group. There's about 1,300 amazing women in there right now. And so that I think will be well attended. It's going to be just like a masterclass of sorts in the group. Of course, it'll be recorded and saved in there, but love to have live people there with me, of course. So if any of this is interesting to you, getting in that group would be a great idea. I have a podcast, Messy to Magnetic, which is just bite-sized money lessons, lessons that my clients have gone through. I've gone through kind of going from messy with money to magnetic, right, is the idea there. So go ahead and check that out on Spotify, Apple, it's everywhere. And of course, the free resource, I'll pop in an email to Danielle, so she'll have everything, but you can certainly screenshot this or grab that if you would like. It looks like something else came through here. June 5th, I said, yes. Erin, Capital One 360 currently pays 4.25% for their performance savings account. Yes, I have that account. It's a great one for your emergency fund. So fantastic. Your sinking fund, I would recommend being just like easy to access, maybe another checking account or savings at the same bank that you use your regular checking, because you're going to be transferring money in and out of it pretty regularly. But that Capital One 360 is great for emergency fund. Watch it though, like sometimes you sign up for those accounts and then like a couple of years later, they drop it to like 0.5%. So just make sure you're watching. It's like everything. It's like kind of there's like a promo period and then they change it on you. So, but you can always move money to whatever new account is doing 4.5% or whatever. So, but yes, that's a fantastic resource right now, for your money. Okay. I'm going to stop sharing and would love to just open this up for questions, comments, anything you want some clarification around. Yeah. You can just unmute and talk
Okay.
to. Hey, Melanie.
Yes. Hi. Thank you so much for this. Yeah, I want to start with just saying thank you, because like the whole mindset to the money part is new to me, but I'm really big on like mindset and just like hearing it applied to the money, which obviously for me hasn't been taught, and it's not taught in schools and whatnot. It really aligns because like intention, right? Applying it to the money and everything that you spoke about, sorry. Like incorporating it with just the focus, the time set aside, the relationship, like money is energy, we are energy. So like it all just really, really aligns for me. And I have so many notes, like just the identity shift, right? So like we go through our identity shifts ourselves, and like incorporating that view on the identity shift with the money and like aligning that, I feel like is what I really need to, focus on. That would be helpful. So yeah, Danielle, thank you for inviting me. I know this was an extended invitation for what you're incorporating, I believe, with all your ladies. So yeah, I'm just super grateful, and it just inspires me to like keep going for what I am doing, and just building my money, and I know it takes the work and the focus, but that's just like with self-development. So I'm just like astonished with how much It applies to just life, but like sometimes people have, I don't like to say the scary view around money, but like when it's not sitting in front of you like you want it to be, it's like that lack instead of the abundance. So like, yeah, just meshing it all together with where I'm going right now, it's just perfect. So thank you, everything you've said and put together, how you did it. It's just right on time for me.
Oh, good. I'm so glad to hear that. And it's true that a lot of people do have sort of a scary outlook towards money, and that's to be expected, because that's kind of the world that a lot of us grow up in. And it's, I didn't speak to this very much, and I'll get to your question, Ursula, there. I saw that. A lot of the times the relationship that we have with money, the mindset that we have with money is something that we've borrowed from someone else.
Yeah,
It's an adopted relationship, right? So you saw a parent or a sibling or a guardian or a grandparent or an aunt and uncle, teachers, mentors, friends, like you've seen others' relationships with money. Their relationship with money has impacted you. And so we kind of just by default adopt that same relationship. And how can you
conditioning,
not when you're under, you're under the same roof as, maybe people that don't have a healthy relationship with money. So that's where it's like, it's really on us. And that's where that sort of CEO mindset comes. It's like, okay, I recognize that there's been maybe an unhealthy relationship with money that's been modeled to me, but like that does not have to be my reality. And the thing about money is that you can shift how money is going like almost overnight. And a lot of that comes with just taking the time to say, what's coming? Like having a plan for, even if it feels like there's nothing to plan, even if it feels like I don't even like, just having a strategy for, okay, so even if there's not enough coming in, what am I going to use to get through the next few months? What are the resources? Am I going to have another side hustle? Am I going to use a credit card? Like, even just like laying out the strategy and saying, okay, this is how I'm going to do it, instead of, again, just like 100% putting just trust in things are going to work out. Like it's got to be a balance of the two. And I think that's where a lot of our personal power comes back, is saying, I'm willing to lay out this strategy and make this plan and start building this relationship with my money, and not just hoping that I start to feel better about it someday and that the universe is going to provide for me 100%. Like I need to provide for myself too. So it's like that combination, that combined effort.
yeah, and being you touched on that, because when you were talking about the like 30 days or the next 60 days or 90 days, it made me think about like money aside mindset, right? Our thoughts, what we're thinking about now, every moment of the day, whether we're aware of it or become more consciously aware of it, we're creating our life for the next couple months. It's all just stacking up. But looking at it like that with our money and giving it the intention, the focus, and the creation, like just applying it to money is a whole different, like, okay, I can do this with money, so yeah, it's big, it's really important in how you lay it out. It's good.
Thank you. Sorry about the phone ringing in the background. Yeah, Danielle.
I'm totally not cutting you off, Ursula, but I just decided to raise my hand.
Do you want me to, can I address Ursula's question really quick then?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So Ursula, I don't have like any strong feelings one way or another about Acorns. I've personally never used it. For those of you who don't know, I believe Acorns is like, you can invest, it's just like an easy platform for investing, and you can invest like small amounts at a time. So it's just like very accessible, very easy. Correct me if I'm wrong. I know, Danielle, you said you've used it, but I believe that's the idea. And I think
guess
if
my
there's
question
like,
should have been,
yeah,
like, instead of putting it in my bank saving, because I have a bank saving, and
yep,
then I have Acorns, and I also have 360, but I have
yep,
nothing there. I got that from my grandson, whatever. So
Uh-huh.
which one would be the best one to start like doing your savings?
Yeah,
And
so I think Acorns is more investing. So
investing, but you
you
can
can,
withdraw the money, once, you can,
yep,
it's easy to transfer it to your bank account and it's accessible right there and
yeah.
then.
Yeah, again, like it's kind of like up to you, your risk tolerance. So I think it would be smart to have, sort of a set amount in your emergency savings in in something
Okay.
like a 360 account.
Okay.
And then again, like I don't know your whole situation, but like if you had certain like if you had really high interest debt that needed to be paid off, the Acorns is, most investments, like legitimate investments, are going to earn you like between 4 and 8% right now. So if you're paying 25% on a credit card, like it doesn't make any sense to be saving a little extra when you could be paying off. You know what I mean? So like when you look at the numbers, but again,
Right. Okay.
you might not have any of that. So
Okay.
if you have an established savings, if you are comfortable with, any loans that you're paying off long-term, maybe that have lower interest rates, like a mortgage or a car or something, then it might be kind of fun to play with. The equivalent would be like opening up a Charles Schwab account or a Vanguard account or Fidelity and just starting to invest. And so, but that generally is something I advise doing after you've got some savings and after you've paid off any high interest
Gotcha.
debt. So,
Okay. Thank you.
but as far as like a platform, like I don't think there's anything wrong with it, for investing.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, Danielle, did you have another kind of area you wanted to take us or question?
Yeah, just kind of like my big takeaway, really.
Great.
So, you had just said like the most recent thing, like if you have nothing to plan for, right? So I feel like I'm in a very good place with my money in the way that I don't have any debt. I have a few savings account. I've been investing for a few years. And so I don't have a plan. I don't have a strategy. I don't track my money. So like organizing, like get organized, right? Have structure. I don't have any structure. So like it feels exciting and it feels empowering to go in and like organize things, like put labels on your accounts again, fun, emergency, savings, and also it's okay to spend your savings. Like
Yeah.
have fun with that.
Yeah, and I think, a lot of times, like that's a really incredible position to be in. And it can start to feel like a little restless almost. Um, like what do I do? I want to do something. I'm not sure what to do because it's kind of like, so I joke, but it's very true. It's like a lot of times people will like pay off their debt or get some savings in place and then they're like, I don't know what to do. I don't have like a goal anymore. So they just get back into debt or spend their savings so they can dig out of it again. It's like when you see the obvious hole to fill, right? Like pay off the debt. It's like, oh, I'll just go fill in that hole.
Yep.
But stacking abundance on abundance can be a little bit harder for us. So having like a savings goal or a net worth goal or right, like a wealth building challenge, thinking about investing in a different place and tracking that, thinking about like other sources of income. Do you want to, is there something you want to do with your money that will allow you to retire earlier or like whatever the case, but like getting to like play and do you have like the team, the financial team around you that you really want, whether it's your tax professionals, your like all of your sort of legal. I have a woman I'm interviewing on my podcast on Tuesday. We're going to be talking about wills and like estate planning, right? Like, do you have all that figured out? So there's like so many layers that you can continue to build around you that just makes it that much harder for life to get to you. And so kind of having fun with that.
Love that.
Yeah. So.
Oh
That's
yeah.
the fun, like the wealth building part that I really enjoy.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for all
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. Okay, any other questions or thoughts coming up right now? So sit with this. If you kind of get overwhelmed and you're like, what was I supposed to do? Like, how do I start? Would be happy to jump on one of those debt strategy calls, or just I always do like a 20-30 minute consultation call if you just have questions or you're not sure what to do next. And Danielle, I'll share this with you, but I run a mastermind that's in session right now. The next round's not till the end of September, but I do offer intensive sessions. So they're 90 minutes. We just like do as much work as possible in that time, with a lot of pre-work ahead of time so that we can just dive right in. And so I'll offer like a significant portion off of that call for everyone here. So I'll send that info to Danielle. So if you want to do a deeper dive and actually do some of the work with me, that's a pretty accessible way to do it. So
Awesome.
would
Thank
love
you.
to do that. Yes, absolutely. All right, amazing. Any final thoughts or questions coming up? Cool. Thank you so much for having me, all of you. This was a lovely, lovely circle. And I'm going to do a little mini meditation before I do anything. Now, that was such a nice grounding thing. That doesn't happen in most calls I get on. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was, yeah, that was amazing. Amazing. So, and girls, if you would like the recording, so it's going to be posted in the Creatrix group. And if you're not in the Creatrix group and you do want the recording, just let me know and I will send it to you. I'll also send you everything that Katy does send me as well. So yes, again, thank you, Katy. And with all of that being said, let's close the circle. So I'm going to say a closing prayer and we'll blow out our candles and be on with our magical day. Okay. Great winds of the South, Sachamama, thank you for being here with us today and teaching us to shed our old ways. Great winds of the East, Adarango, Great Jaguar, thank you for being here and showing us how to have courage in the face of fear. Great winds of the North, thank you for being here and showing us how to seek out the sweetness in life. Winds of the East, Great Eagle and Sister Condor, thank you for being here with us and teaching us to see the big picture. Mother Earth, Pachamama, thank you for being here with us and always supporting us. And Father Sky, thank you for being here and allowing us to feel your infinite greatness. And Katy, thank you for being here with us and teaching us a better way with money to better ourselves, better our lives, and stand in our power. Thank you so much. Aho. Let's blow out our candles, closing our circle. And all the ladies here, thank you so much for being here. And I mean, really, it's because of all of you that we were all able to have this experience. Love you all. Have a great day.